How you doing, everyone? Silver Shareholder here to talk a little bit about silver and gold being the ticket to wealth beyond your wildest dreams. Now, when I say that, a lot of you are wondering what I'm talking about, and what I'm talking about is silver and gold as a mindset, as a lifestyle change. So that's been one of the biggest benefits for me is the awareness that it's given me about money, also about history, also about saving versus debt, liabilities versus assets. All of these things that I think are pretty common changes in mindset among stackers, among silver investors. And silver as a hobby has just been so beneficial for me and has really made me much more aware of things that are beneficial to spend on, such as silver, such as things that are going to further your income generating opportunities, versus things that are wastes of money or liabilities as far as expenses that you don't need. And we see so many people spending money on things that they really don't need, and in a lot of cases going into debt for those things, and not only spending money that they don't need but then paying interest on top of the money that they've spent. And I believe as a silver hobbyist, you're much more aware of these things, and I believe that can be the ticket to financial security and wealth beyond what you imagined you could achieve. So it's been a real evolution of thinking. And when you're viewing your savings or your wealth in terms of ounces, or your expenditures in terms of how many ounces of silver you could have purchased. So right now, with the low prices, for the cost of two or maybe three really cheap meals, you could buy an ounce of silver. I'm not saying that you're going to buy a few ounces of silver and that's going to make you wealthy. So while the price of silver may go up astronomically, I don't think that that's going to be your ticket to extreme wealth. Is not going to be due to an increase in spot price. Although I do expect to see an increase in spot price, and I do believe it'll probably outpace inflation. I don't think that buying and just holding a few ounces is going to be a real money maker. So when I'm talking about wealth beyond your wildest dreams, I'm talking about achieving financial responsibility. So I believe the mindset change is going to be very important for people to understand the difference between currency and money and debt and money and necessities or assets versus liabilities or wastes of money. So it's a very important mindset that most people don't seem to have, and I think is a lot more prevalent among silver investors. And for me, one of the best parts of the hobby has been finding out more about history, about monetary history, things like that. So one thing I would recommend for anyone that's not familiar with it, research the US dollar and the definition of the dollar as defined by Hamilton. Alexander Hamilton defined the dollar as a fixed weight of silver or a fixed weight of gold, and that was to compete with the other world currencies at the time, the Spanish coin, and so on. But the US dollar was defined as a fixed weight of silver, and that's what gave it its strength. So that's what made us competitive, what made us wealthy, and it seems to be a good way of saving. But I think just being aware of that is a huge milestone. It's a huge step for a lot of people. Um, and it's something that I'm really grateful for. So it's an eye opening, awakening kind of thing to be more aware of what is and what isn't money, what are and what are not justifiable purchases. And for everyone, wealth is going to be different. So it's all relative. So one person's idea of financial independence or financial freedom. One person's retirement plan may be very different from another person's, and we should also be seeking for ways to expand our income potential and our earnings, and as well as cutting out expenses that we don't need. So you still want to enjoy life, you still want to, treat yourself to things, but I think it's good for most of us to be avoiding unnecessary expenses. So that's something to keep in mind. So when most people think of wealthy, they're thinking about, someone with a yacht or someone with a Ferrari, and that's what's glamorized in TV and movies. And the truth is you can go out and rent most of those things for a day, and if you're making a music video, you could show off a car that you've rented for the day on a credit card and gone into debt for. But I believe someone that's driving a 20-year-old car and putting the savings into silver towards their ultimate goals is truly the one that's wealthy, as opposed to the person that's rented a car that they can't afford or leased a car that they can't afford. And that mindset change, I think, is a huge milestone for people. And every time you're making a purchase, to be aware of its value and whether or not it's adding value to your potential and a step towards your goals, or whether it's a step back and going to make it so it takes longer and you have to work harder to achieve those goals. So for me, the mindset change with silver and gold and being aware of their value has been priceless, and I hope all of you are able to use silver and gold as a stepping stone towards achieving your goals. Thanks for watching.